Tonight, we're talking about being nearly buried alive in a claustrophobic News from the Weird, beginning a brand new experiment in finally becoming wizards, and of course diving into the weird, unexplained cases of spontaneous human combustion. Deep beneath the stacks of the New York Public Library, it's Brian and Eric Don't Belong Here. Stay with us. Good evening, ghouls and gabagools. Welcome to another edition of Brian and Eric Don't Belong Here, a weekly exploration in the strange, the macabre, and the spooky. I'm Brian, here as always with my handsome and hopefully flame-retardant colleague, Eric. What's going on, man?
It hurts me that you say that because you can clearly see I'm on fire right now.
Eric, it's for the show!
I'm burning alive.
All right. Well, you can put yourself out. I'm sorry. Put the blanket over you, smother it. There we go.
That's my sizzling sound.
It was great. That was a great sizzling sound.
It was good.
Yeah. All right. So, okay, we won't do. I guess setting you on fire in an audible medium wasn't the smartest idea.
It was for naught. Now I'm just covered in burns.
Well, get through this hour, and then we'll take you to the hospital. I promise. All right,
that
bud?
Makes sense. I'm gonna. You are gonna hear the sounds of me slathering myself in generous helpings of Vaseline.
That's good.
That's the price we all pay.
Oh, man, Eric, we got a lot of show tonight, and I think it's going to be a good one.
We've done an unusual amount of preparation.
So much preparation, and by preparation, I mean texting you earlier today and going, you want to do this?
Yeah, and I said, yes. Yes, I do.
So I guess up top, we're gonna launch a new segment, I believe weekly-ish segment.
Yeah.
So we, a while back, a month or so ago now, recorded an episode where we casted a spell.
We did.
We attempted to cast a spell.
Did we ever? That's
that
locked
episode
in the vault, right?
That episode's currently locked in the vault. It was a very experimental episode. I don't think it's unreleasable, but like, it's so out of our normal wheelhouse that I feel weird just spending a week on it, having that be our weekly output. So I might put it out as a bonus thing or on YouTube. I don't know yet.
Sure.
But what's important is it also didn't work. What we asked for when we cast a spell, what we tried to do did not work. We are well past.
We're past the due date?
Past the due date. Absolute failure on our end. Okay. But I'm not willing to say that magic has no value.
This is just another entry in the Brian and Eric Don't Belong Here magical notebook.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
This was one failed experiment by two guys who did not know what they were doing.
No, sir.
We're following a WikiHow. And the spell did ask for a totem of some kind, and we did use a piggy bank of Raphael from the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Also correct. Very true.
So I could, if magic, at least according to that book we've been looking at, Techniques of High Magic, insists that, or posits that when doing magic, you're sort of tricking a spirit into thinking you're some kind of king.
Yeah.
I could see how maybe that didn't work for us.
That is a great summary of the Western occult tradition.
Catfish a ghost.
Yeah, catfish a ghost, baby.
Catfish a ghost, baby. So what we're going to do is, also how I would describe our relationship with magical properties and magical ritual is you are afraid is the wrong word.
I'm cautious.
Yeah.
I am afraid it could somehow do something.
Right. I have trepidations, but the curiosity and jackassery of my brain overwhelm me.
Sure.
So we were talking about you may be giving me experiments to do. I will do them throughout the week. If they seem like they'd be good to play on the show, I will record my attempts. Okay. And we'll just week by week catch up on am I becoming a wizard finally?
At long last.
At long last.
I think you got a shot.
I think I have as good a shot as any.
I think so. You have a talent for remote viewing.
That's it. I have, go back to our remote viewing episode. My latent psychic abilities became clear.
Very clear. It's really weird. Do you want to go into that now, or did you want to wait till later?
I think now's the time, unless there's something else you want to do first.
No, we could dive right in. So I brought back the book Techniques of High Magic. I feel like it's a good entry level tome. It's got like a survey of kind of everything you need. So I was thinking what we could start with for you. I was looking technically step 1, setting up a temple, doing all sorts of stuff. Seems like a lot of work. There's some divination, also a lot of work.
I want to skip the basics. I don't want to build a foundation.
You want to dive right in, baby.
I don't want to learn how the scuba gear works.
No, that's right. Why? Yeah, why waste time?
Mask me up.
Mask him up. Throw him in the vat. So I figured what we could do, or what you could do, is start with a little something that we sort of ended on actually last time. Astral projection.
Wonderful.
So do you, Brian, we talked about it a little bit last time. You were quite high.
I was so high.
You were very, very high. It's a great episode. Do you remember much about it? Do you have any?
So we did talk about astral projection. My understanding of it is sort of it's like an out of body experience, right? Your consciousness leaving your body. Is that
so? If
around it,
yeah, basic. If we go back to that idea that's presented in this book, that there are basically 4 planes of existence. Astral projection is you transmitting your consciousness into one of these other planes, or essentially like becoming kind of like aware of these other planes, sort of.
Got it.
And so it's a method of basically travel according to this. So there's a protocol that you can follow if you dare.
I do dare.
So here's the thing that I meant to tell you about. This is going to require.
Also, you'll die.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you will die immediately if you do this wrong. No, this is going to require like a little bit of commitment and I think repetition.
Okay.
Because it's a little bit like a meditation.
Okay.
Where it's like first time you do it, mind may wander a little bit, might not get anything. And I think to see results, we'll give ourselves a week.
Yeah. I think that's great.
And so if you could do what I'm about to describe for you every day and potentially more than once a day if you have the time.
Okay.
All right?
Yeah.
Okay. So here, I'm just going to read. I'll keep it brief. I'm not going to read whole sections, but I'll kind of give you the gist. So what I'm about to describe is a preparatory practice. And once again, I'm reading from the book Techniques of High Magic, a Manual of Self-Initiation by Francis King and Stephen Skinner, third revised edition. We've done some episodes on it. We'll link to it. You should check it out. So this is a preliminary exercise which is going to aid both your visualization and the loosening of the astral bonds.
Ooh.
So it's useful to practice this first before you go on to other stuff. That's sort of the start of the session. So what you're going to want to do, do you guys have a large mirror? Like a full length sort of?
Yeah.
Cool. So you want to be able to see your whole body in it. And what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to seat yourself comfortably and examine in detail all of your body.
Okay.
Just really strip down, get in there.
I gotta get big time naked time, huh?
No, it's not saying that, but that'd be funny.
All right.
You can. I think you can.
I'm gonna do it now. That's what I heard.
Please do. All right. And then what you're going to want to do, you're going to want to close your eyes and try to recall all of the details of your reflection. So you're going to look at yourself in this full-length mirror. You're going to kind of like get in a comfortable position. Just look at yourself. Try to absorb all the visual details. Then close your eyes and try to visualize everything you just saw. If you can't really do it, and this will probably happen the first couple times, if you close your eyes and you can't really recall the visual image, just open up your eyes again and sort of keep doing that. Keep opening your eyes and looking and sort of studying yourself and closing them and trying to visualize until that image, when your eyes are
So I'm
closed,
trying to get a pretty photographic mental image of myself.
Exactly. Like you want to be able to really visualize
all
yourself.
those creases and folds.
Every single one, baby. Every little mole you got. So when you can finally do this, here's where it gets interesting. Keeping your eyes closed, you're going to want to try to transfer, and this is sort of an act of imagination, you're going to want to transfer your point of view from your body to the visualization of your reflected image so that now you're looking out of the mirror at yourself.
Okay.
Seated there.
Yeah, I got it.
So pretty standard. And this is really just like an exercise in visualization to try to strengthen that ability. And then there's 2 potential techniques to do this. I'm going to go with just the simpler one.
Great.
Called in the book Technique B.
Technique B, baby. B for Brian.
B for Brian. So the first step in this is to perform the lesser banishing ritual as usual. Probably not important, just about cleansing the space, whatever. We could probably skip that. That's fine.
Yeah. Boring.
Yeah, don't need it. So you're going to seat yourself as before in a straight-backed position or asana. Those who are familiar with yoga, that's just like a posture.
Okay.
Concentrate on your breath, watching it flow through your nostrils. Regularize it and allow it to slow down. Step 4. Transfer your attention to an imaginative scene, such as a rocky defile along which you imagine yourself walking. Feel as if you are climbing up one side of this until you reach a flat plateau on which there are 2 pillars, one black, one silver, with a veil between them. Now, as before with the mirror, you're going to visualize yourself seated on the other side of the veil.
Okay.
Next, you're going to transfer your attention to the figure on the other side of the veil and become it. So this is exactly like what you did with the mirror, where you sort of transfer your visual field, so you're looking out at the mirror.
Okay.
Now you're transferring your vision over the veil, so now you're looking out. At this stage, the mental projection should become an astral one. So what they're saying is you're basically imagining things up to this point. You're creating this imagined visualization, but at the point where your vision crosses the threshold of this veil, you've now transitioned from a mental projection into an astral projection.
Interesting.
The actual astral projection occurs when you move the attention from one figure to another through the veil, thus negating the difficulties of moving out of the physical directly into the astral. To return, this is important.
That sounds important.
Don't get trapped in there. To return, you sit down with your back to the veil. Again, being on the other side, like you're inside the mirror now.
Okay.
So you sit down with your back to the veil and visualize your other body waiting on the other side of the veil. Transfer your attention back to the other side. Now, this is important. Return along the path through the imagined landscape and reassume your physical body, perform the lesser banishing ritual of the pentagram, blah, 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 blah. Don't need to worry about it. So I'll send these to you as written, so you don't have to memorize this.
Great.
Some notes about moving around and existing in the astral plane.
Cool.
Once you have successfully projected, do not immediately attempt to run around, but carefully move about your room, getting used to your new body. You will find that leg motion is not required, but that merely willing yourself from one place to another is sufficient. Remain earthbound for the first few experiences, gradually getting used to resisting the temptation to indulge yourself in the new sensations of weightlessness and timelessness.
Okay.
Explore the adjoining rooms, something you can do by merely passing through doorways, and try to remember some feature which you might not normally know about, which can be checked on later. So this is an interesting way to do an experiment.
Yeah.
You know, I was reading, they've actually been doing this in hospitals as a way to test out-of-body near-death experiences.
Oh, sure.
So many people claim that, like, when they have near-death experiences, they see themselves in the whole room from above.
Right.
So some hospitals, what they've been doing is putting, like, symbols or specific words, like, on top of cabinets or things that you couldn't see unless you were literally had a viewpoint from above.
Right.
So this is just saying, you know, sort of you can do that for yourself. See if you actually have visions, if something happens here, see if you can notice things that you can check later.
Interesting. Wonder if I can find the source of that fucking dead smell.
Dude, imagine you see some weird shit that's causing, it's just like a burrito in your fridge.
I mean, yeah. That checks out.
And so, so it's just saying, note the details that you notice in your magical diary. We should probably get you a magical diary.
I guess I'll need a magical diary. Can it be a magical audio diary?
Oh, that's a great idea.
Right?
I think
right?
that's probably.
I can just take my recorder and we can.
Oh, dude, that's a great idea.
Right?
That's the best idea. Wow. Yeah, I'm an idiot. Oh, interesting. All right, I'll read this one last thing, and then we could talk about it. When trying to ascertain if you are seeing truly on the astral, opposed to just imagining something,
Right.
it is useful to imagine the contrary of what appears to be there. For example, if you visit a friend in the astral body and you see him reading, imagine that he is ironing instead. If the figure immediately changes to conform with your imagination, you are probably only viewing your own astral creations. But if it does not alter, then you can be fairly sure that you are actually there.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. So that's the protocol. And like we've talked about before, what I like about this book is it gives you a lot of things. You can just you can just try this and see
Right.
see if it works. I would caution that again. I think a lot of this stuff, defenders of it would say like it takes time.
That's kind of what I'm expecting. I don't imagine next week I'm going to be like, oh, by the way, I've mastered astral projection by staring at myself in a mirror.
Yeah, exactly.
But I'll do the beginning steps, like especially this week.
See if anything happens.
I'll keep an audio diary. Maybe what we can do is if there's anything especially relevant, we can probably put that into the show. If it's a little long and meandering and a lot of like, well, nothing happened again today, maybe we can make them available on the blog or something.
Yeah, for sure.
But we'll figure it out. But that sounds good.
That's mission one.
Mission 1.
So what's the idea here? So am I just going to slowly feed you all of the little discrete tasks to send as a wizard?
Yes.
All right,
I
great.
believe
Love
that
that.
is the plan.
I love that.
So yeah, what I'm going to do, I'm going to focus on those early stages. I'm going to report back on them, and then maybe you can guide me in what you think the next step is.
Okay. All right.
This segment needs a name.
We'll workshop it. Do you have something?
No.
Okay.
Wizard time.
Yeah. Wizard Bros.
The Wizard and the Bruiser.
Yeah. That's certainly not taken.
I'm sure Jake will just let us have it if we ask for it.
He doesn't need it.
He doesn't.
He's doing
need
great.
It. That could just be a good pod. They could just call that a pretty good podcast.
It's like how you call soda Coke.
Yeah.
Just like any kind of cool podcast. It's a wizard and a bruiser.
There you go. I that makes complete sense to me.
Yeah, I think we cracked the case.
Should we move on?
Yeah.
All right, we have a new addition to the show. This is they've been sitting here this entire time. I can't actually see them. We were talking about maybe adding a new. It's something you have to like. It's been Brian and Eric don't belong here for so long. It's adding a new voice into the mix.
It's hard.
It's hard, and it's a big decision.
Yeah.
But we are excited to. It's going to change the show a bit, but we have. Let's just do it. We have a new permanent fixture, a new host of the podcast, or the third leg of our show here, and that's the ghost who's been haunting my apartment. Maybe.
Probably. Most likely.
Most likely. What we have done is we have hooked up a ghost box to our recorder. They have their own track, their own audio track, and they need a name. I've been kind of calling him Pete in my head.
I think we should stick with Pete. Pete, if that's the instinct, let's go with Pete.
All right.
I will say, I think we messed up with this ghost box.
Yeah.
We should have put googly eyes on it.
It's not too late.
It's not too late. We could still do that. Okay.
It's not too late to do that at all. But anyway, so here's the thing about Pete is, like I said, we have a chair for him. We can't see him, but we can
Technically.
Technically.
Can't see him in quotes.
Right. Yeah. But we can check in with him, so we don't actually know that he's here. So real fast, Pete, new host of Brian and Eric. We're not going to change the name of the show. It's already on all the stuff, you know?
But you can call it Brian and Eric and Pete Don't Belong.
Right. Yeah, call it whatever you want. But we're just not going to... We don't want to go through the back end and change everything.
Legal,
it's a whole...
Talk to HR.
Yeah, right. It's just a mess. But, Pete, new host of the show, you got anything to say? You know, if that was anything, I'm sure it made sense to Pete.
I think Pete speaks a little Spanish.
He definitely does.
He can hobble a little bit.
Pete, we don't is the thing. I don't, at least.
I speak it like a 8-year-old boy. Like a very foolish 8-year-old boy.
Great. Great. So, Pete, we'll check in with you throughout the show. But, you know, either we're gonna, if you want us to understand it, it's gonna either need to be in English or an 8-year-old boy's level of Spanish.
Quiero un cookie.
Sound good, Pete? I did straight up here, sure.
Yeah, I'll take it. I like the idea that Pete is just a sort of chill, vaguely tired man. It's like, all right, guys. This is my fate. I'm trapped in a room with 2 idiots.
Yeah. Hey, I like to think get to be trapped.
Yeah, that's right. Fair point. It is how you frame it. Have you had any more interesting encounters? Or?
I've been on vacation.
Oh yeah. Right.
So I actually haven't been home. But now I'm back, and now but Pete and I are buds now.
Yeah.
So like I don't think there's going to be an issue. Ain't that right, Pete? He might have went to go to the bathroom. I'm not sure.
Sure.
Should we? So that's Pete. Everyone, please welcome Pete, and we're so excited to have him. I think the show's only going to get better from here.
I'm pretty pumped. It certainly can't get worse.
That's not possible. Dude, I got before we get into our main topic, I have a pretty fucking horrifying news from the weird.
Okay.
Does that sound good?
I love that.
Okay. I'm gonna put on some music here.
Okay.
Lambayeque, Peru.
All right.
On April 26th, Rosa Isabel Quispedes Calaca, her brother-in-law, and her nephews are in like a pretty tragic car wreck.
Okay.
The nephews are injured, the brother-in-law died, and Rosa was also declared dead.
Oh boy.
So during the funeral procession, that usually involves like pallbearers, lifting the casket on their shoulders, bringing it out to a vehicle, which will then go to the cemetery. The pallbearers start hearing a very noticeable knocking on the casket.
Nope.
So they put it down, open it up, and sure enough, Rosa's fucking alive, eyes wide open, covered in sweat and gasping for air.
What the fuck?
She's fucking alive.
How does that happen?
So she's rushed to the hospital. It's assumed that after the accident, she fell into some sort of coma.
Yeah.
And the hospital was like, well, she's dead.
That's so they're not checking vitals. They're not like
I do not know how. So the family's furious. It's unfortunately the story still has a sad ending. She wasn't in good shape.
Yeah, for sure.
Untreated in a car accident, presumed dead, put in a casket. She was put on life support, and she did unfortunately still die.
Wow.
And so the family's fucking pissed hey, maybe if you didn't think she was fucking dead, she would have got some treatment and she would have been alive.
Yeah, of course. Can I say where my mind goes immediately in stories like this?
Please do.
Having worked together, and I won't speak for you, but for myself, having not been a great employee at certain times in my career, I'm always thinking about the poor guy who is absolutely responsible for this, who is sweating bullets right now.
My head did not go there, but oh boy, have I been that guy.
She looked super dead.
Do you remember those moments of, and I'm sure I'll have many more still to come, please hire me, of just something goes wrong and just that sinking gut feeling of, fuck.
Yeah, ooh, that was super me.
Fuck.
That's super. Here's what bosses don't like to hear. The following phrase. My bad. Ooh, my bad. They don't like that one.
No, not a popular one.
No.
I have to say, I'm also I'm a little confused of, aren't there procedures you go? I mean, so
dude,
I'm assuming,
that's weird. Like Peru has modern medicine,
right?
Like they have ways to monitor heartbeat and
right, and it's. Even going through the funeral process, don't they drain stuff?
Yeah.
And stitch stuff up? I assume
sure.
it wasn't going to be, after a car accident, it's probably not going to be open casket.
No.
My wife went to a couple of years back my grandmother's funeral, and my family's quite Catholic, and my wife was raised Protestant, and it was very funny going to a Catholic wake and nope, sure enough, there's your grandma in a box. Wow. That's super. Just your dead grandma.
Dude, I've seen a couple of open casket funerals. It's wild.
It's so funny. I don't even think of it as weird.
Yeah.
Because I just grew up going to them.
Yeah.
And I got a big Irish family. People dying all the damn time.
You know what they used to do back in the day that we should bring back?
What's that?
Is when someone died, they would just put them on the table, and you would like drink around them for like a day or two, and then you bury them.
That could get awful ripe.
Bring that back.
I do like it in theory.
You know what I mean?
Just,
You're hanging out.
I do. You know what? I'm
Send
for
the
it.
guy off. You know what I mean?
I'm for it. We should put that in our wills of like.
Yeah, drink around my corpse. 48 hours minimum.
It's what Pop would have wanted.
Yeah, exactly. I think they use too much makeup too. I'm gonna say that.
Oh, like
it's too much.
Every wake I've ever been to, I've been to 2 grandmothers' wakes, and neither looked like my grandma in the box.
No,
just a weird stuffed up like. Ugh.
Yeah, like why do you have to do? Do you have to do that?
Dead does not do great on your like complexion.
Sure.
You know.
Sure.
you gotta
throw some bronzer on me. Put me in the tan. Give me a spray.
It's the answer is maybe don't do open casket. Like the Irish, we joke, we gotta. So you gotta prove they're fucking dead.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
I better see that. I better see the damn body.
Yeah.
No, the move is probably close.
Oh, I thought that was a joke about how pale we are.
No, I was making a joke about how my grandmother better be dead.
Yeah.
Old Irish humor.
This is our old Irish humor segment.
Yeah.
It's for nobody.
It's for nobody.
We just make fun of our large heads and spindly legs and creamy white skin.
Irish humor. Pete, you got any Irish jokes? Pete couldn't think of any, I don't think.
Yeah, he's probably reeling.
He was laughing at our jokes.
Yeah, that's right.
So, but also, like, how I think getting buried alive, getting buried when you're not actually dead, being conscious at your own funeral is like an absolute existential, like,
that's got to be the worst. That has to be the worst thing.
Truly next level frightening.
Like the amount of just overwhelming claustrophobia and fucking panic. Like, dude, like you're in a dark box. You can't see anything. You can't really move. You're running out of air. Like, fuck.
I'm having like a tiny panic attack just thinking about it.
Dude, and like you're gonna have to shit. You're gonna get thirsty. Like,
you'll be dead before you shit.
I don't know.
I don't know. That's a good point.
Dude, that's why I'm pro cremation.
Yeah,
Burn
right?
me alive. Because even if, worst case scenario, I'm still alive, I get all the way to the crematorium or whatever, and I'm somehow still alive, I'm in a coma, whatever, just this.
It won't be long,
Yeah, at least I'll just burn alive, and I'll be dead.
Speaking of that,
okay.
What a beautiful transition, Eric.
They call me Mr. Alley-oop. That's kind of my thing.
What I wanted to talk about tonight was still, don't get me wrong, still an awful way to die.
Yeah.
But spontaneous human combustion. What like top of your brain, top level 30,000 feet, what do you know about it?
Here's what I remember reading about it I think I was in like 3rd grade, and we had one of those cool books where it's like it's like weird stuff in the world. It's like
love those kind of books.
It was like in the 90s before listicles existed, before the internet had. It was like the book version of a listicle for children, and it was like Man in the Iron Mask, Bermuda Triangle, friggin' human combustion, and it's just the idea that my understanding is that like sometimes people just catch fire for no reason.
That is, I mean, that's it summed up.
Here's my question for you, because I feel like this is a meme that exists in the world and is a thing people are like, it's a thing. Like sometimes people like human combustion. Is it documented ever? Is it like common? Like what the hell's the deal with it?
Eric, I would love to tell you about just that. My friend, December 2010 in Ireland, 76-year-old Michael Faherty burned alive in his home.
Jesus Christ.
He was found on the floor, basically burned to a crisp. You ready for the weirdest part? The only damage was to the floor beneath him and the ceiling above him, and obviously his body. So he was found near a fireplace, but no like accelerant was found, and police said there was no evidence of any like foul play.
This guy's Irish?
This guy's Irish.
He's sitting at home. He's covered in grease smoking Newports.
That said, the official cause of death from the coroner, spontaneous human combustion. It was Ireland's first case of it. Now, it's worth this poor motherfucker burned alive, catching fire seemingly out of nowhere, just like internally exploded, basically. Now, there's an important caveat here.
Yeah.
Not many...
Everybody involved is Irish. A nation of cheaters, liars, and thieves. Barely literate. A degenerate island filled with subterranean demi-humans.
You got it. You got all of it. Okay. So the actual important caveat here is that not many people in the scientific community think spontaneous human combustion is actually possible. Even in this case of Michael Faraday, this declared death is more of like, we have no idea what the fuck happened.
I'm so sick of these skeptics, bro.
It's so like they're putting down spontaneous human combustion of like that's as likely as anything fucking else. We do not know what happened.
Thing.
It's yep.
Well, why not just say that? Why not put question mark? You know what I mean?
Pete, what would you write? We're gonna need some contributions from Pete here.
I love that we can just throw to Pete at any time.
Anytime. That's great. I mean, having the third voice is great.
Yeah.
If we, Pete, I am sorry if we have any like human guests joining us, you are gonna get bumped. I only have 4 audio lanes essentially.
That's true.
But Pete is gonna get bumped. But so far, it's not like he's got a lot to say. I missed that, Pete. I'm sorry, man. You got to speak up. Enunciate, Pete.
So interesting.
Okay, so from Britannica on if spontaneous human combustion is real, reading directly from the article, the answer is almost certainly no. None of the proposed scientific explanations for how a body would spontaneously burst into flames have held up to scrutiny. Some of the early proposed mechanisms rely on outdated medical ideas, such as the notion that an ignition could be the result of an imbalance of bodily humors. The Victorian explanation that alcohol rendered the body flammable doesn't work either.
That would be so funny.
Right? It was commonly in like the old days, it was commonly associated with drunks.
Interesting.
And seeing that concentrations of alcohol in even the most intoxicated people are too low that an external source of ignition would be required, it doesn't hold much water.
Also, so many people are so wasted all the time that like all of New York City would just be walking around in flames.
So Eric, I'm gonna shock you. I'm not a scientist.
No,
I do wear a lab coat that I found down here every recording without fail. But like you can't get it off of me.
It's covered in ketchup.
Is it that ridiculous?
I don't know. I couldn't tell you why it would be impossible.
That's the thing. It's like you can definitely see why it's so pervasive in like pseudoscience as a myth.
Yeah.
Of like the body is full of extremely flammable gases like fucking methane.
I guess that's true. I didn't think about that.
Yeah, we have extremely flammable gases. Like we're lined in fatty tissue that is extremely flame. We're walking grease fires waiting to happen.
That's what I call myself.
So it doesn't seem completely unimaginable that like some weird combination of factors could create some sort of spark or ignition, for lack of a better word. And
that's my question. Do we know how like prevalent these reports are? We have this one, but like, are there a lot of
there
other
have
ones?
been, in as far as like what I can see is there are about 200 reported cases total, like through recorded human history.
That's pretty crazy.
That's simultaneously a lot, but it's also obviously extremely rare.
Yeah, right.
And mostly attributed to freak circumstances where like we don't know what the fuck happened.
Interesting. It is interesting. I didn't realize that this phenomenon goes back like as long as you were talking about like Victorian era things. Like, do we know how long ago the first? Like,
we're definitely talking like nobility in 18th century type of stuff. A Charles Dickens character in his novel Bleak House, who was a drunkard. The character, not Dickens, or maybe Dickens was. I don't know a lot about Dickens. Stop asking me about Dickens, Eric.
Every episode we have this fight. I'm not going to stop asking you about Dickens.
But a drunkard character spontaneously combusts, and Dickens was a big believer in it as a real thing.
I will say, I feel like drunk people, like a real drunk, like a real old school drunk. First of all, don't see those. I don't know where that archetype went. That's fun.
What a fun little archetype.
That's a fun little... You're just ruining your life. Falling asleep on oily rags all the time. But I feel like that sort of person that's described in that stereotype is probably more likely than the average Joe to just catch fire from one means or another.
Spontaneously or no, just
that's right.
more likely to catch fire.
Yeah, they're more combustible, just generally.
I just even think in general, like even drunkards especially, maybe it's a 1 and 2, but like even if it's a 1,000,000-sided die,
yes,
and you keep rolling it, it's one's gonna come up eventually.
Yeah, for sure.
You keep rolling. Maybe in drunks might be a 1 and a 2.
Like you said, it doesn't seem that it's like bio. I mean, and again, I know absolutely nothing about biology, combustion, any of this stuff, but it doesn't seem impossible. Like you said, we're filled with combustible gases,
right,
at all times.
Right. It's like, so what I would love to tell you about is the big one, big spontaneous human combustion story.
Oh, baby.
This is the story of Mary Reeser of Florida, often called in the media the Cinder Woman mystery.
Oh, Jesus.
Story goes that in 1951, St. Petersburg, Florida, a landlady was delivering a telegram to her tenant, 67-year-old Mary Reeser. The landlady notices that the doorknob is hot to the touch, which is one of the key signs, of course, that there's a fire inside, just in case you're like Eric and I and you paid literally zero attention to any fire safety.
Yeah, my rule is doorknob's hot, go on in. Doorknob's hot, hey, why not?
Doorknob's hot, hey, why not? We're going to put out pamphlets for kids.
Go on in. The water's fine. Oh, what do you want to be cold?
Pete, any fire safety tips? I thought it was.
Yeah.
Sorry to cut you off there, Pete, but we got to move on. Pete, you got to do something here, otherwise you're going to get fired, man. Okay, so landlady touches the doorknob. Doorknob is hot. She calls the authorities, and what they found inside surprised everyone. Okay. Basically the kind of thing of like the firemen have like never seen anything like this in 25 years of working. Straight up, in a chair in a sitting room were the remains of Mary Reeser. Mostly ashes, as well as a bit of her spine, and an undamaged, unburned foot wearing a black slipper.
What?
And a skull that had shrunk to the size of a teacup.
What?
Yep.
What?
Why
did the skull shrink?
That is a big, big question.
Because like fire wouldn't do that.
It's largely in those circumstances of like someone catching up. The skull largely, for lack of a better word, kind of explodes. That's usually what happened according to the internet sleuthing that I did. I've never seen.
Yeah.
I don't have a lot of experience with skulls exploding.
No, it makes sense though. It's filled with liquid and what
right, kind of just ruptures.
Yeah, exactly.
Nope. In this case, it very famously shrunk down to the size of a teacup, which is crazy.
Weird. What's weird in these cases too, at least the ones you've described so far, is that nothing else around it seems to catch fire.
That is exactly what I would like to get into. There was some damage to the chair that she sat in, the ceiling above, and several plastic objects around had like lost their shape. There was also some candles in the house. Those had all melted, leaving only their wicks. Now, everything else, and the firemen also said it was so fucking hot they initially couldn't even go in. Like it was hot in the room. But other than that, there was, like Faraday in Ireland in 2010, there was no damage to the surrounding apartment. Even a nearby stack of newspapers were still fine.
That's crazy. You know what it kind of makes me think of? And this is literally based on absolutely nothing. Have you heard of that thing, Havana Syndrome?
Remind me.
So Havana Syndrome is a reported symptoms from a couple of like embassy workers and some like intelligence personnel in the U.S. who were stationed in Cuba, basically. And they started getting just super bad migraines and vertigo and almost like traumatic brain injury symptoms. And it was like a weird political football for some reason. It was like kind of a partisan issue. And I have no idea. I'm not going anywhere near that. But I'm just saying that, like, these people, these citizens, whatever, were reporting these really troubling symptoms. They were largely dismissed, but they were there's some other people who've like shown up talking about it. And one of the theories, which is not that far-fetched, is that it's some kind of directed energy weapon, like a microwave that you can target at a person and fuck them up, basically. And it's invisible. It doesn't damage anything in the way.
Right.
This almost feels like something like that. Like
it's fucking weird.
Experimental thing. Where we're like, sorry, lady, like the CIA has to test our new friggin' like satellite microwave.
There are some very weird theories, that don't involve spontaneous human combustion. There is one theory of a, let's say, unreliable eyewitness who said that a fireball crashed into the apartment and she was hit by a fireball.
Oh my god.
I don't know, but if it was a CIA weapon being tested,
you know what I mean? Just some kind of microwave beam weapon?
Yeah, we don't know.
Yeah.
We don't know. I wasn't there. Were you there?
No.
So, the other weird thing here is, like, in order to entirely incinerate the body, like I said, everything except a foot still in a slipper was ash. She would have need to have burned at 3,000 degrees for several hours.
That's crazy.
That's fucking crazy.
Yeah, there's so many weird things about it. Like the thing that sticks out to me is the heat in the room, the temperature in the room.
Right.
Being that hot.
Right. It also doesn't seem like, and granted, it's hard to tell because she was ash and the only thing surviving was like her skull, her shrunken skull, her spine, and a foot. Is like no attempts to like move from the chair that we can see.
Yeah.
So we got I mentioned the shrunken skull already. It should explode. I can't find an explanation for why that would have happened. Not that I was really digging the books.
No, but even
doing
just,
some internet
even thinking
sleuthing
about it logically, like what the fuck? Like how is it that say you committed suicide that way? You're gonna dump gasoline on yourself and like other stuff would have caught on fire.
Right.
You know what I mean? Why would your slipper survive? Why would your skull shrink? Why would the whole room be super hot? Like nothing makes sense.
Right. And it's even if you were incinerated, like cremated, it's your skull would just sort of turn into dust.
Exactly.
It's weird.
That's very strange.
I have an extremely weird question. Like the old like shrunken head trope. Is that real? Is that just fake?
That's a thing.
Okay.
That's a thing.
Is that anything? Is that any but that's like a long process, right? Of like
yeah, I don't know how that works, but I believe basically as part of a ritualistic practice, I want to say voodoo. That could be completely wrong, but basically,
we are rough draft just guessing.
Oh
here.
yeah, but my understanding is that it's a thing you can shrink a head. You can take a head and shrink it, and it becomes an art. It's used as basically like an artifact or like a ritual tool.
Huh? But is that related? Like, what is the process of doing that?
I'm just this whole scene just makes me think of Beetlejuice.
Oh boy. I'm reading now Shrunken Head process, and it's I will just leave it as it's gross. If with the foot, it at least like makes sense to me that like fire rises, so like if it didn't get to her foot, so it's once again no other damage to the apartment. It did so like it didn't spread at all over the course of the several hours it would have taken in order to incinerate her like that.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense.
It's, I guess, unless like the chair kept it and the chair didn't catch fire.
And also, like you're saying, if it's 3,000 degrees, if you need 3,000 degrees of heat over exactly several hours, even if the flames themselves didn't spread, like other stuff should catch fire with that kind of heat.
Right. Yeah, God, I didn't even fucking think of that. So there is an officially accepted explanation.
Okay.
So it comes down to what they call the Wic Effect. And there are some important factors here that we need to understand about Mary Reeser.
Okay.
She was a smoker, she was overweight, and she took sleeping pills. So the theory in
She liked to have a good time.
What's that?
This
Having a
lady
good
likes
time.
Like to eat a little bit, like to just get a good snooze on.
So the theory and like officially like accepted explanation from her family is that she fell asleep in her chair while smoking, dropped her cigarette. It set her nightgown on fire. The nightgown proceeded to act like a wick, exactly like in a candle, and the candle was her body fat.
Holy shit.
Which is terrible.
The only thing that I think about like human body fat being flammable is that I mean I guess it is, but on the other hand it's wet. Like
I forgot they did find like grease in the carpet, like body fat grease in the carpet. It's a terrible way to go.
Damn.
So yeah, critics of that theory and explanation really get stuck on the fact that she didn't move and like needed to be there for hours. But like,
how was she? And I don't mean this in a cruel way, but like, how big was she? Mobile? Could she like get up? Like, could she?
No, yeah, she wasn't that big. You know,
okay,
she was
like
she was in her 70s. Yeah.
Okay, gotcha.
From pictures I saw, looks like a normal 70-year-old woman. You know.
Yeah.
So I did look. She had taken sleeping pills, and like as much as I'm like this is, and we're talking like 1950s strength sleeping pills, which I'm sure are just the same thing they gave fucking horses.
Dude, 1950s pharmaceuticals. That's a golden age.
That was a good time.
Uppers, downers, whatever.
Pete, you know anything about 1950s uppers and downers? Pete's killing me, man.
I remember there was a story my mom tells about coming home from school when she was like a girl, and my grandma was literally vacuuming the drapes because she had started taking some new diet pills.
Oh, baby. Oh, man.
Yeah.
So the sleeping pill, it does seem like if you were suddenly entirely engulfed in flame, you would move. Like they'd find you on the floor.
Yeah.
But it does only apparently, I looked up, like if you were consumed in flame, you apparently would die of asphyxiation in like 60 to 90 seconds. And that's not including a fucking lifetime smoker, you know?
I guess, but like you can hold your breath. Like, yeah, so that's a classic thing, right? That the flames are consuming all the oxygen so you can't breathe. So you actually suffocate before you burn alive.
Right.
Typically. But, like, if you held your breath for a minute and a half, you wouldn't die. You wouldn't even pass out, probably. Like, it would take you, like...
Yeah, I guess that's true.
And you'd think a minute is a long time to just be on fire and not move.
Unless she, wasn't conscious or was like was in a weird groggy state.
Yeah,
I don't know.
And you could go into shock or like,
right.
Depending on
That's true.
But here's a question, man. Like, because you do hear those nightmare stories of people like, you know, you're like passed out drunk, you fall asleep with a cigarette, the mattress catch on fire, like that kind of thing. But like, if you're in a, like, how easy is it? Like if my shirt catches on fire right now, does my whole body just go up?
Yeah, like,
you know,
no,
that's what's
right?
weird.
Oh my God, I did see a terrible video. Like I would not have willingly watched it if it didn't just autoplay on fucking Reddit of like some idiot looked like college age at a table with his friends. He sprays his beard with hairspray and like lights his beard, whole face goes up.
Oh, Jesus.
Don't do that.
I've heard, and this makes sense to me, that the worst place in the hospital by far is the burn ward.
I was looking up like some stories of like burn victims, and it just sounds like removing your bandages felt like getting skinned every time.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
Awful.
Just horrible pain, the smell, it's just fucking brutal. And at any point you could develop like a life-threatening infection. It's just really not good, not great.
Oh, don't fuck with it. It's should have paid attention to those fire lessons, man.
Yeah,
fire safety.
Unless you're lighting a fart, in which case that's totally safe. Nothing bad has ever happened to anybody.
We are not scientists or doctors.
Yeah. No,
or fire safety experts.
I'm pretty sure people have gotten real fucked up trying to light their own farts.
I'm sure. Over the course of human history, we've been farting into fires for a long time. Just by the number, somebody got real fucked up.
What a hilarious thing.
It would be like if you died as a result of injuries from lighting a fart. It would definitely be like, this guy.
Yeah,
that's how he would have wanted to go.
Exactly. Who wouldn't? Those eulogies are gonna be hilarious.
But her family, I guess, appears satisfied with the Wic theory. The FBI got involved. J. Edgar Hoover was in charge. And that's about it. That's the Cinder woman that you like. Obviously, 1950s newspapers went nuts with this story. And the Wic theory, certainly makes the most sense, but it's still, I don't know if that raises any questions that. So did she just set on fire? Did she spontaneously human combust?
Yeah.
I don't know if that offers less questions.
Dude, I don't know. I still get hung up on the fact that nothing around her burned.
And that's extremely common in human combustion cases,
right?
Yeah, man.
And that doesn't even that is a mystery. Even if we're saying there's some mechanism by which human beings will just catch on fire from some internal process, whatever. Why wouldn't things around them also catch on fire?
Right. Why would it be magic fire that only
that only burns up the body of the person?
Right. And does fire not spread the way I'm thinking of?
Yeah, exactly. I feel like a house catches fire and it can burn down in under an hour.
I assume you light a match wrong and your whole house will go.
Oh yeah, I'm still not allowed to play with them.
I did get into a little bit of a phase where I was lighting my match with my wife decided to be like, please stop doing that.
You're 1/3 of the way into the McDonald's triad.
You want to hear some other quick cases?
Yeah, I would love
to. That's the big one, and there's no like I said, they chalked it up to the Wic theory. We're at the end of my my formally written research. Now I'm just reading straight from Gizmodo.com. 10 cases of spontaneous human combustion. We'll link to it in the blog.
Gizmodo is my go-to source for human combustion news.
There we go. Let's see here. I'm reading straight from the article now. Spontaneous human combustion has claimed the life of at least one member of the nobility. Countess Cornelia de Bandi, the countess who lived in the 1700s, was found halfway between her bed and her window one morning with everything except her lower legs and 3 fingers burned. The legs are common. The legs and feet are common to be stuck
preserved.
Around. Right. Or even just extremities like fingers.
I will say if we're going with the combustible human gases theory like methane, that's all going to be in your guts.
Right.
So it would make sense that the limbs would be preserved.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So in the she apparently had calmly risen from her bed to open the window in the middle of the night, but combusted before she could reach the window.
Oh, that's rough.
In the room, 2 candles had been burned, or at least the tallow had been burned. The wicks were left completely unburned.
What?
Soot covered the room, including some bread on a plate that she had left on the table. Just as an indication of how strange the 1700s were, the bread was taken from the plate and offered to a dog. The dog refused to eat it, making him the most sensible player in this incident.
Whoa. I do think that's a good note. I feel like the 1700s was a weird time.
Just an overall weird time.
A lot of weird stuff going on.
Should we do a show about the top 10 weirdest things that happened in the 1700s?
Yeah, we should. I think so.
Let's do another one.
Yeah.
In 1960, once again, straight from Gizmodo.com, in 1967, a passenger on a bus in England noticed blue flames in the window of an apartment building hallway. She thought it was a gas jet and called the fire brigade. When they got to the place, they supposedly found the body of Robert Francis Bailey, a homeless man. Firemen reported seeing a slit in the man's abdomen from which blue flames were issuing.
Super weird.
Which would be, that's the most like...
Yeah, it's a human
combustion situation.
Fire coming from inside of your body.
Right.
Pretty definitive.
Which would be pretty... It's, you know what the other interesting thing is? You mentioned it earlier of like shit being like wet. Your body's 70% water, right? That's not like a myth, right?
Dude, I literally, I was making a fire. It was like a little cold the other night, and I was making a fire for my family, and like there were some wet logs that were outside, and they're literally on top of dry logs that are on fire, and the wet log will not burn.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like it takes, and I mean, if you leave it long enough and the fire is hot enough, yeah, the water inside of it will evaporate, and you'll get like steam vapor and shit. But it takes a long time. Like it's not instant.
Right. And then I've got one more here. And this one's just called The Witnessed Case. There is only one case of human combustion for which there is a witness. A mentally disabled woman lived with her father, who cared for her. One day, he saw a flash out of the corner of his eye and turned to find her on fire. Despite the flame, she continued to quietly sit in a chair, not reacting and not giving any indication that she was in pain. The man's attempt to put out the fire left him with burned hands. The woman lived through the combustion, but slipped into a coma and died shortly afterwards. This indicates... This a real trip there, huh?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I really went through the whole roller coaster.
This indicates one of the strangest parts of human combustion. It takes a very hot flame to reduce a human body to ash. Crematoriums have special chambers designed for it. However, in almost all combustions, there are no burns in the room around the body, indicating that a person simply stayed in one place. Whatever the cause of this combustion, it seems to knock people out first. It's weird, man.
That would, I mean, if there is something that renders people unconscious or kills them first, like, it would explain the other part, like why people are just stationary.
Right.
I hope this is not real.
I
don't need that. Just the idea that at any point I can just burst into fucking
I'm
flames.
worried about enough fucking things.
Yeah, I got enough on my plate.
I agree. So the scientific community finds no evidence for it.
Yeah.
And 200 cases over the course of recorded human history doesn't seem to be a lot. And like half of them, if they were before electricity, are like, I don't know, man, I heard once.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, a lot of games of telephone. I will say some of them are well documented though.
Yeah. The
more recent ones.
The Mary Reeser one is fucking weird.
Yeah.
Even explainable, it's fucking, even, if it happens by purely logic that we understand, it's weird.
Very strange.
It is a freak dice roll for sure. There are people who, there wasn't enough good information to really include it in my notes here, but there are people who assume demons were responsible for Mary Reeser. Yeah. And I don't know, that makes about as much sense as anything else.
Well, all these remind me of that scene from Hereditary.
It's you can't not.
You cannot, right?
That is in my hallway on a poster.
Yeah, that's great. Great scene. Yeah, I mean, I will say if we want to go real deep end, left field territory, it does. There is something about it that seems like if magic were to exist, like that is kind of how it could work.
Right.
Like only you, like you were saying, it's like, what is this? A magic fire that only burns you?
Right.
You know what? Like that sort of seems like a thing.
From what we've seen, sure.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh man, well that's spontaneous human combustion, I guess. That's about all she wrote on it.
You know what I hate about this?
What's that?
They don't tell you any, like if one of us spontaneously combusts as a human, there's nothing to do.
No.
I guess
if the fire is inside of you, that's inside of you, baby.
I would try to drink a lot of water. Maybe it's like a spicy thing, like you need to drink milk. You know what I mean?
That's it. So if you ever find yourself spontaneously combusting, grab a cool glass of milk. Help your bones.
Some nice, cool milk,
Got
baby.
milk, babe? Got milk?
Yeah.
Remember those Got Milk? Are those still is that campaign still exist?
Remember everybody had the ads?
Yeah.
Kids would just bring the ads to school.
They were kids would bring the ads to school?
This didn't happen in your town?
There were a couple hung in like a lunchroom.
No, kids and especially girls, for whatever reason, would collect the ads. And it was like a thing to have all the ads in like a binder. Yeah, they got milk with a little mustache.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a thing.
What?
Yeah, it doesn't make sense.
Why?
I don't know. Our civilization's collapsing. I don't know, Brian. Why do children collect ads for milk? I don't know.
You remember when Star Wars Episode 1 came out in 1999? Yeah. They issued like Diet Pepsi had characters on cans, and my brothers and I would collect and collect and collect and collect them, and we trade them around the neighborhood. And then at one point, my dad just threw them away. We were just distraught, and my dad having to be like, "Guys, it's garbage."
I'm not even gonna bother recycling them.
Guys, these are garbage. And he had humored it for months, and then it was clearly like they're literally collecting garbage, and these have to go.
Yeah. They're not even collecting them. There's bees all over the house.
There practically were.
They have sugar water everywhere. Line of ants coming through the front door.
Did you collect anything weird as a kid?
I didn't collect anything weird, but during the release of those movies, I did win a life-size Yoda from Blockbuster. I still have it in my basement.
The dream.
Yeah, the dream. I keep flirting with the idea of selling it on eBay, and I always get too lazy to do it. But it's
I
worth
wonder what
a
that'd be worth.
Couple $100, and it fluctuates. I've seen it as high as 1,000.
You probably have to do it around the time of a movie.
I friggin' missed the boat with the Baby Yoda.
Yeah, right.
Thing.
Life size, like the size Yoda would be, or life size like your size?
No, life size is the size of Yoda in real life.
That makes sense.
You know?
Otherwise, it'd be a big fucking Yoda.
Yeah, it's not even life size. That's no size. That's big size.
That's just a big Yoda.
You got a big Yoda there. It's not even the same species, Brian. That's ridiculous.
You know Yoda doesn't have a species name?
I did not know that.
There's no official species. Or you know what? Maybe there fucking is. It's not in the movie, at least. Don't tell me it's in a fucking comic book.
You don't like Star Wars, I thought, right?
I love Star Wars.
What don't you like? Lord of the Rings?
No, I love Lord of the Rings. For the record, I love the Star Wars movies, like the original movies. I don't care about a fucking limited series on Disney Plus.
I thought there was some I had in my head that I'm having a real Berenstain Bears moment right now because I had in my head that you had a thing. There was some series that
I don't like Marvel.
No, that's very reasonable. There was some major nostalgia series that clearly you should like.
Game of Thrones has never been my thing.
I know Game of Thrones was one.
The TV show, I liked the books that I read.
I could have sworn it was fucking Star Wars, but
I've certainly complained about Star Wars enough that someone could get that.
Maybe it's that
opinion. But all of my complaining about Star Wars is from my love of Star Wars.
I feel like you have said the phrase, "No, I don't care about the stupid space wizard movie" or something like that.
I have certainly said that.
Right? That's okay,
but it's out of a place of love.
Got it. I get it.
I deeply, deeply, deeply hated Rogue One.
Yeah, I mean, most of the new ones, all of the new ones are terrible.
I like a couple. I like Force Awakens is fun. Star Wars it's Star Wars karaoke, but karaoke's fun. And then I really liked Last Jedi, which was the second one after that. Mm-hmm. Everything else is pretty bad.
Interesting. Yeah, I agree.
But hey Pete, any thoughts on Star Wars? Pete hasn't offered much to the conversation, but he is a convenient way to get out of stuff.
I will say he's throwing in a fun little jam every now and again.
Oh, yeah,
you know what I mean? I'm bopping a little bit.
I get it.
Yeah.
It's, sometimes podcasters, they'll sometimes talk to the producer off and they'll indicate a thumbs up. Sometimes Pete's just giving us a thumbs up. I think
that's right. I think that's really what it is. He's trying to help us out. We just can't perceive.
Right.
You know what I mean?
We'll get there.
Maybe with your journeys into the astral plane,
we'll hang out with Pete.
Figure some stuff out.
We'll hang out with Pete.
Imagine if you just see Pete. Imagine it works day one. You're just like, holy mackerel.
Pate's just eating fucking popcorn,
Yeah,
ready
yeah.
to go for the next
Yeah,
one.
like, I've been trying to talk to you this whole time.
We have the first ghost co-host, right? I think
Co-ghost.
or the first ever co-ghost in podcasting. There's a lot of great paranormal podcasts out there.
I don't think
a lot
there's
of really
another,
good stuff.
I don't think there's another spiritual entity co-host
Wow,
out there.
I think we're ahead of the game.
Which is, yeah, it's a really untapped demo, I think.
Yeah.
You know?
So I go us.
Yeah.
I think it's a big win, and I think we're going to be rewarded for it. I think the people are going to.
I can't see how that wouldn't happen. I can't even conceive of a world where we would not be rewarded handsomely financially with notoriety and
Please.
accolades.
We want all of those things. Eric, is there anything else we need to go over?
You know what? There's a couple things I've been meaning. No, I have nothing. I'm totally tapped. This was a fascinating topic. I'm genuinely, in my own selfish way, I'm so excited to see what happens with this experiment.
Yeah, man. I'll let you know next week.
You know what I mean? Cool.
And I'll keep an audio journal. Keep it honest.
Yeah.
Okay, guys, this has been Brian and Eric Don't Belong Here. There's a whole list of things that I wasn't prepared to say any of them. We want to thank Purple Planet and Carl Casey at Wipeout Audio for the use of their music.
Good.
Do you want to get in touch with us? We're on all the social medias. We're on YouTube. Hey, maybe leave a comment if you're listening to us there and subscribe. We're on Twitter at Brian and Eric Pod. You can also check out our blog for more information on spontaneous human combustion at briananderic.show. We're going to Paracon.
We're going to Paracon, baby.
And Sonia CT. Tickets are cheap. They're like $20. We'll be there both days. It's going to be a lot of fun. Come say hello. We're going to be doing shows from there.
Amazing lineup.
Amazing
guest lineup.
Amazing lineup. Definitely going to be worth your buck. And please come say hey. We're so excited to meet some people. I guess that's everything. For both of us here, Brian and Eric Don't Belong Here. Thank you for listening. Stay safe out there.
Good night, everybody.
Pete, say goodnight.
That was something.
That was something.